Welcome everybody. I am extremely excited today to be able to talk about what we're about to talk about. Um, uh, we'll go into more detail as we go through. We've got a couple of special guests, very special guests that will be talking today about a project that L1X is very proud to be able to present in conjunction with these two special guests and their teams. So today on the panel we've got Kevin, the founder of L1X. Today we have we've got AJ from EMP Money, and also we've got Jake from Dex Finance as well. They're all speaking today on the specific project that I'm sure you're all eager to hear about. The great thing about why I'm excited today, when we talk about projects building on L1X, I think it's a really good way to showcase the features, the ability of L1X to catapult layer twos and projects building on L1X to another level. And I think you'll be able to see what I mean when we talk about this particular project that we're about to announce. So without any further ado, firstly, I'd like to maybe Kevin, if I can get you to just tell us a little bit about. This is obviously some of the first time some people here are hearing from you, and some people would have heard from you before. But it's a great way to start. I think give us a little bit about your journey through blockchain till now, and maybe some of the things that have happened along the way that have kind of driven you to create L1X.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matthew. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay. No, thanks for that. I'm happy to be here, and speak more about L1X and the projects. My name is Kevin. I'm the founder of L1X. As a kid, I mean, since the age of 8 and 9, I was always fascinated how you could take, a part of your mind that did logical operations and build it in a computer. That's the virtual machine. And since then, I've been coding and been contributing to the open source code bases out there. But when we talk about Web3 and blockchain, this is the second project that I'm doing. The first one was building a universal rewards program, which I ended up listing on the Australian Securities Exchange. But I was fascinated by the way how a virtual machine could be decentralized from the database perspective, and I would love to solve the problem on how you could just decentralize the computing straight away. That would solve so many problems, and that is where L1X comes in, where it allows you not only to build on itself in a decentralized perspective, but also making it easier for everyday users. Because if you look at the adoption of the internet and you look at the adoption of something called as the Apache web server, it goes hand in hand. All the Apache web server allowed projects to do was make internet accessible to everyday people, and that's what I think L1X is focused on doing, which is making other blockchains and Web3 accessible to everyday people.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I've spent a bit of time with Kevin, and he is probably one of the most humble guys I've ever met. So his you won't hear it from him, but just his thought process, the way he approaches a challenge and looking for the solution with the user in mind, and just with the determination that if he can think it, then he can create it, and that really is something that I've come to know that is a core piece of or part of Kevin, and I suppose that's why we're now working on this project, which will revolutionize blockchain, and it really will. And we'll be able to talk about that a little bit more in terms of this project, specific project that we're going to be announcing today. So, Kevin, would you like to reveal to everybody what is the project that we'll be announcing today, and that is building on L1X?
Yeah, so L1X being an operating system in itself, should not be accessible by the users directly, or they should not be able to do it. But to be able to make features that are accessible and create capital efficiency in the Web3 space, We are partnering up with EMP and Dex Finance to build a multi-chain decentralized exchange marketplace. You may call it. But I think without getting more into the details in there, but the way I see it is until today, you go to a decentralized exchange, you swap your coins, you stake it, but how about building an engineering layer right on top of the DEX that allows everyday people or projects to build on top of it, accessing that DEX and creating capital efficiency at the same place. I think, yeah.
Absolutely. And look, that's you'll find as we go into, thank you for announcing that, Kevin, as we go into the features of the DEX and we talk to AJ and Jake about what this DEX will do, I think you guys will realize what a game changer and this will be, not only for DEXs but in DeFi itself across the industry, in terms of what the features and capabilities. But in terms of features, Kevin, what specific features of Layer 1X is this DEX tapping into?
Yeah, I think Matthew, getting into the features, is of course the most important thing is making it simple and accessible to everyday Web3 users to use any technology on L1X. There are a couple of features that the DEX could start leveraging straight away, but let's get into some of the features that are missing in this is missing in the space today. So one of it is the ability to create, or to perform interoperability across the chains, for tokens or for events. Now, let's look at this perspective. Let's say, one of the things that I would love to see is, in Web3 game advertising. So how would you be able to, advertise on a Web3 game where you give the control to the user as to if he wants to see advertising on it or not? Take the concept of the Brave browser and put it in the game. And from the game itself, if the user holds a certain NFT on chain B, how would he receive tokens on chain C? Now, this is a very complicated process, where a game is built on chain A, the NFT is on chain B, and the tokens are given out on chain C. And the user would have to manually go in and try to bridge it across different chains. But L1X allows you or the developers to build a single smart contract, and it allows projects to identify users across the chains. It also allows the developers to receive delegated permission from the users to execute something on chain B on behalf of the users. But all this happens in a single smart contract. So the L1X smart contract allows you to asynchronize, connect with various different chains out there. I think the second most important feature is the ability to work with the L1X multi-chain wallet, where today, if many of the users were having problems in buying the L1X coin, but we have changed the website now. We made it much more simple. But changing the RPC, changing the tokens, and there's heaps of issues going out in even connecting to a blockchain. So what we are doing is, I think AJ mentioned that, which was being able to identify what chain you are trying to talk to and automatically switch that RPC endpoint. So the user does not have to be a developer or a technical person to even access Web3. So I think that's the second piece. And more importantly, if you are trying to swap tokens, you are trying to swap NFTs or even events on L1X. It's powered by the L1X VM, of course, but the L1X VM sits on top of the decentralized consensus mechanism where, if you held L1X coins, which is going to be used to pay transaction fees, you could straight away stake those coins, to let's say a full node or even onto the network, and secure the consensus mechanism through a proof of stake, which has a ceiling as to how much you can stake. But at the same time, the devices like IoT devices or anything with a chipset could be used as validators on the network that could allow the full nodes to be held accountable. For example, in the US judicial system, how you have the jury and the judge, you just don't rely on the judge. The jury over here is the validators, and the judge is making sure that everything that he listens to is in accordance to the standard. So I think that division is good, and that's how the L1X consensus is powered.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin. Well, I think it's time now to have a chat to our special guest today. Today we've got AJ from EMP Money, and we've also got Jake from Dex Finance. The reason why they're here today is that I've known to AJ for a long time, and I know that he's got the ability to be able to run, a pretty amazing project, and also gather a community together, and also Dex Finance, the innovation that Dex Finance has already shown in their existing projects, the user first sort of approach that Dex Finance brings to all their projects. I think the combination of Dex Finance and EMP Money working together, I think, is just a recipe for magic in terms of building, the next generation Dex that will be launched for blockchain. So, without further ado, AJ, I might get you to start off first, please. Welcome to both of you. AJ, can you please tell everyone a bit about yourself and your blockchain journey?
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew. And again, brother, happy to be here. Kevin, everybody from the L1X side, we're extremely excited to be partnering with you, and from the Dex Finance side. I mean, we're going to get into a lot of this throughout the AMA today. But Matthew summed it up pretty perfectly. We're the dream team. I mean, EMP has our strengths, and those strengths are complemented by the strengths of Dex Finance. So, and then not only that, but building on top of what can be a true market disruptor in crypto with the capabilities that L1X offers. So, my name is AJ Brockman. I am a jack of all trades. To be honest, I've had a very diverse background. I was born with a neuromuscular condition, so I'm actually in a wheelchair. I'm essentially a quadriplegic, but I've never let that hold me back. And because of that, I've always had to, look at technology and assistive technology to help me live a full life. And so that brought me down the rabbit hole of crypto. And, I believe in the accessibility and power that decentralized finance specifically brings to crypto. So I've always been really big into DeFi. Again, I've had an extensive business career as well. In 2012, my background is I'm an artist. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art, and I use the computer to create my paintings. And in 2012, I had a claim to fame of painting a portrait for President Barack Obama when he was going through his reelection campaign. So that set me up from a very a great position to get my name out there. Obviously, the notoriety that comes with, and then building a little empire of my own. Started with an art gallery, opened a craft beer bar, then opened a 500-person music venue, and eventually ended up owning the entire shopping center that all of those businesses were located in. So I've been an entrepreneur all my life as well, and have a very diverse background. And when COVID hit, I had been in crypto already for about 7 years. But doing it, working all day in my real life businesses, and then staying up all night, learning as much as I could about crypto. And so with that, I built amazing relationships through our own community. Our developer, who also happens to be, his name is Jake. We built many projects together, and EMP really was the shining light in that. So last year, we developed the first truly innovative seniors protocol. And again, just like Dex Finance, they did that as well. We feel like we are the two leaders in the DeFi space when it comes to tokenomics and user experience, and above all, community. So, yeah, both of us have been building separately, but now we're coming together to be even more powerful. And we're not abandoning our projects individually. This is actually really bullish for both of our individual projects, because now not only is it more exposure, but also a possible revenue stream. And again, we're excited for what L1X has given us the opportunity to do. Again, more than confident that we can deliver on all this. And, to be the official launch Dex, that's big shoes to fill. But I think that we're going to do something truly revolutionary. So, yeah, that's a little bit of my background. I'd love to hear from Jake, Dex, or is that who we're going to go to next, Machu?
Yeah, look, we will. Look, thanks, AJ. Everyone just heard AJ's story. I've got to say, like, and this term is used a lot, but it's genuine when I say AJ is an amazing human, right? Like he is the most generous, nicest, genuine, hardworking guy, and inspirational in terms of what he can achieve in terms of challenges he faces.
Thank you,
So,
brother.
for him to be able to be part of this team. I think it's exceptional. It's a win for the Dex. It's a win for A1X. And speaking about another amazing human, Jake from Dex Finance. Jake, can you welcome, mate? And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your blockchain journey?
Yeah, of course, man. That's a tough act to follow. I've never been in the White House. I started out with a finance background. Traded U.S. Treasuries on the floor of the Chicago Board of Trade for about 13 years or so. That was the first time I towards the end of that path, everything went computerized, right? So really had to transition from the in-person kind of trading old school stuff to the computerized model and developing some different skill sets. So at that point, I actually started a media and software company. Did that for about 7 years or so. And technically, we still have that business. I stopped taking clients about a little less than a year ago when I got into crypto full time. But like I said, we still have some SaaS products for a couple of Fortune 1000 companies. So, we really built a team around, good technology and the whole package, the user first, media marketing, the whole kind of well-rounded experience. So that led me into crypto, and so we launched our first token about 2 years ago almost, and everything changes so fast, but it's amazing to be able to keep up with it and keep innovating. I think a lot of you guys have seen our more recent projects. The money market was kind of followed in AJ's footsteps with the seniorage model. We had some unique innovations on, and our latest product, the Dex Vaults and Dex ETFs, where we're doing some really cool things with auto balancing, liquidity farming, and automated profit taking, and some really cool things that we can bring to the L1X team and the blockchain. And we're really excited to join you guys.
Awesome, Jake. Thank you, Jake. And I think he's probably being another humble human as well. I mean, what I think Jake and his team, the best way to explain what they bring to L1X and this Dex is just look at their products, the way they innovate from what's out there in the market to add their innovations and to keep on pushing the boundaries in terms of getting more delivering more for the community, delivering more for the user, becoming more capital efficient. I think it's the proof is in the pudding. And when you look at Dex Finance team led by Jake, I think you can see that their innovation really shines through in what they're already doing, and I can't imagine what they can do on top of a blockchain like A1X. So it's really great to have Jake and the Dex Finance team and AJ and the EMP team collaborating together for this Dex that will be launching with in conjunction with the A1X launch as well. So they'll both be operational. It's a really important thing to have that Dex rolling, and you can get excited about that as well. So look, Jake and AJ, now that we've heard from you guys, and thank you so much, both really fantastic stories. Give us a little bit of insight into this Dex and some of the things the users will be able to do.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll take the lead, and Jake, feel free to add anything I may forget, or yeah, we can also get some questions in hopefully at the end here. But yeah, so we have been working with Dex Finance in our own capacity for over the last 6 months. Again, Machu and Jake kind of alluded to this earlier, but they've already built some incredibly innovative things within their own ecosystem, and us as well. I mean, we at EMP, we've built a lot of things on top of our seniorage model that were truly innovative. And not only have we had built an amazing dedicated community, but we were also one of the first protocols to go education first, where we literally created a free online academy that explained our protocol and helped users be, better crypto users as well. So all of these things combined, we will be bringing to the deck. So we're not ready to release the name yet, and we will be following up with all of our tokenomics and how everything will kind of be rolled out. But what L1X does is provide an incredible opportunity that we've never seen before. So being able to be truly interoperable with not only EVM chains but also other chains such as Solana that are more Rust based is amazing. And doing that all without having to use a bridge and doing it seamlessly, where you're interacting with native tokens on their respective chains, that is so powerful and something that is again a market disruptor in the space. So having that as the foundation, and then building a true user-friendly, simple yet extremely powerful exchange on top of that. Again, a decentralized exchange, but an exchange that works maybe a little bit more like a centralized exchange in terms of usability and user friendliness, and that's where Dex Finance really has shined. I mean, we have some great developers at EMP, but Dex Finance has an actual army of developers that have pulled off some great things. And again, a real world example of that is the Dex Vault. So like Jake was saying, they have come up with some proprietary info that combines both a beefy style auto compounder and a balancer style rebalancing of assets within that vault. And so that will also be directly integrated into this DEX on top. And so what we plan to do is, just like L1X is building a foundation of an innovative chain, we're going to be building a foundation of an innovative DEX that then will have other things built on top of it that really make this potentially the one-stop shop of all exchanges. Again, being able to transact with liquidity, on any chain and any other DEX without ever having to bridge is just truly revolutionary. So again, that's kind of a high-level overview of what we're looking to build, and that's just the surface. I mean, we have a lot of incredible ideas that we think will not only, again, make capital efficiency number one priority, but also, again, make the experience extremely user-friendly so that nobody will want to use any other decks than our deck. So, yeah, go ahead, Jake. I don't know if you want to add anything to that or elaborate.
Yeah, of course. That was a pretty good overview. Um, you know, I think we're all on the same page. Like, the new tech from L1X really gives an opportunity for not only just better usability from people in like the hardcore DeFi space, right? But it also opens up a lot of doors for new players coming in, kind of fringe DeFi people have maybe a Coinbase account, right? People that are just hearing about these crazy APR numbers and wanting to get into this DeFi space that all of us know so well, right? So I think and as you mentioned it, like the user first mentality needs to be first and foremost. We have some tricks up our sleeves with the tokenomics and some of the more advanced feature sets, but let me just, I guess I just can drop some feature alpha. The primary goal is to essentially have this be like a centralized exchange, right? Of course, everything is going to be completely decentralized, but the reason why centralized exchanges are much more popular than decentralized, right, is because they're super easy, right? You put your money in and you can choose whatever token you want. You don't have to worry about storing all your keys and figuring out if this is native BNB native chain or smart chain or AVAX C chain, and moving between all these different chains and all that. So it starts with just the account system, right? We've actually developed a way for new users to come in and sign up an account with their own keys by only using an email address. This kind of creates like a hybrid centralized decentralized, where the user is completely in control of their own account. I mean, of course, you can link up your MetaMask and do your things the way you've always done as well. But this will open up a huge new segment of the market we can bring in. On-ramp integration so that you can just come right in. You don't maybe need to go through a centralized authority to get your money in and out, right? Gasless swap transactions, right? Essentially kind of creating a faucet in-house that allows a new user coming in to just be able to deposit their funds, make their trades, and then withdraw on any network they want, right? And then of course, just use it from the usability standpoint. I know, but being a trader myself, having more functionality and usability UX in like limit orders, stop orders, being able to drag and drop the actual interface, moving those orders around, not having to calculate numbers and stuff on the fly. Those kind of things are big. We've developed a whole system for MEV bot protection. So the bots are officially gone. No more sandwich bots, front running bots, all those predatory types of things you get on, all these other chains, just because it runs rampant. And we figured out a way to pull those out. And then again, at the heart of everything is, of course, the L1X technology, which, as AJ and a couple other guys mentioned, this really cuts down, eliminates the need for bridges, which is a major attack vector, and also allows you to move back and forth between these chains. So just having this all-in-one type of system, like AJ mentioned, is really our focus.
100%. Well, and again, I know not to cut you off, Matu. I think we may have lost Matu. So yeah, just to capitalize on a few other points. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's about and I've been a major whistleblower, I guess would be a good word, on a few things, and those things are, we don't need just another EVM chain that's a copy of ETH or BNB, or any other EVM chain that has been out there. What we need is a new chain that actually brings innovation. And so L1X is doing that. And that is what I'm so excited for. Again, this is something we've never seen. A lot of other chains have tried this. Again, Polkadot, with their parachains, or, Thorchain even, but nobody has been able to really, do this in a way that has been a market disruptor. And, everything that I've seen from Kevin and L1X so far is actually delivering. So that's what gets me the most excited. And that being said, the other, again, potential, risk, I guess you would say, is usability, and making sure that you actually have people building on your chain. And that's another major difference with L1X, because, and again, Kevin can probably elaborate more on this later in the AMA, but we'll be able to onboard other projects simply, again, other EVM projects, it's simply by changing one or two lines of code in their smart contract. So now, not only are you able to have the capital efficiency, but now you're able to actually have logic that talks to multiple smart contracts on multiple different chains. And that is going to just absolutely skyrocket the TVL of this chain, because now we have access to all of this built in, and developers don't even necessarily have to, build a brand new project on L1X. They can simply port it over by changing, just a few lines of code. So, and in terms of the Dex, that is even more powerful, because now we get access to all that liquidity and all those users that want to interact, with our Dex. And we get fees on that. So, and again, I know, Jake said that there will be some feeless options, but even the base fee of L1X is a maximum of 1 cent. So not only is it a superior technology, but it's also extremely cheap and extremely fast. So again, I don't want to sound too hyped, but we are really excited for what potential this has. And again, I feel like we can absolutely pull it off. Like Jake said, their team at Dex Finance has already built out a lot of this. I know the L1X team has been building for literally 2 years through the University of Western Australia, really trying to bring this all together. So I'm really excited. So yeah,
Wait, if you don't mind me jumping in, just
For sure.
to clarify, I not I don't mean to say feeless. If I did, that was a mistake.
Okay,
What I'm referring to is gasless, right? So essentially what this does is like if you go to a new chain, if you come in from Ethereum, right, and you want to make a trade on Smart Chain, someone needs to give you a little bit of BNB so you can make your first transaction. Because we're mixing in and allowing people to move between all these chains, we feel that you shouldn't have to have a little bit of these tokens on every chain. This can all happen within the swap, within the exchange, all kind of in the background. There'll still be minor fees involved, but it just gives more flexibility for the user.
Yeah, well said. Well said, guys. So I'm just jumped on to Chief's login because I was having issues with mine. But look, well said by both of you. I think the features that you've talked about have not yet been seen throughout any deck. So really, this is revolutionary. This has the ability to impact and change the way DeFi is done, especially through the user experience, through the functionality, through the options and choice that it gives the user, really creating the most capital efficient DeFi system the world has ever seen. And because the DEX is not just leveraging the features of Layer 1X, but it also has an engineering layer where people can build on top of it. And the fact that it's, I think the DEX itself is being run by two innovative teams that really we're really happy. We're really excited at Layer 1X that Dex Finance and EMP Money are combining together to build this, and we cannot wait to see what comes of it. Kevin, I just maybe ask you, how will maybe explain a little bit how L1X Labs will be helping Dex Finance and EMP Money construct and build, and what role does L1X Labs usually take with projects?
Yeah. So what we have done is, if you look at the total transactions going through any layer one, usually 70 to 80% of the transactions, are by the top 10 applications that are built on those layer ones. Now, this is where the benefit of having L1X as a transaction fee across chains also comes in. But this is a complicated process, in the initial stages at least, for projects to leverage, because the virtual machine that L1X has is a completely different, it's built on a completely different fundamental than the other VMs out there. So L1X Labs, have certain developers that understand the VM, or the certain aspects of the VM, and we probably have a $5 million, grant program as well, helping projects and developers build with L1X. This is where L1X Labs will work with the team of EMP and Dex Finance to find the most optimal route of building this platform. And yeah, this is where the technical skills from L1X Labs can come in, to help the team of EMP and Dex Finance to build the Dex on top of L1X.
Excellent, brilliant. Thank you, Kevin. Just as a broad question, and I don't know if you guys from Jake and AJ, you've thought about this at all, because obviously you've been busy setting up the Dex and the foundation of it. But what impact do you feel that this Dex and its functionality, features, what impact could it have on crypto in your mind?
Yeah, 100%. So I'll start again, and then Jake, feel free to follow up. So, I truly believe that it is a market disruptor. I mean, again, not only is L1X providing that opportunity, again, with the bridgeless technology, but really, and it's something that you have to really sit down and wrap your head around. And Jake and I have even been having some meetings behind the scenes, going over all this with a fine-tooth comb. And there's going to be, synergies and fringe benefits that we haven't even thought about yet. And that's what I'm really excited for because, again, I mean, this is groundbreaking. And we could see a situation where, not only L1X, but the DEX through the L1X technology, the DEX can almost be like an onboarding system to L1X. So what I mean by that is, we can hopefully, and again, I think it's really more realistic than it sounds, suck up a huge amount of market share with the entire TVL of crypto in general. Again, I know that's a really big claim, but the way this DEX can function is very, and again, back to Jake's point of it, operating more like a centralized exchange, you're able to actually, have all of your orders set with every chain that is interoperable with L1X. And again, I mean, on launch, I think it's about 9 different chains. Kevin can go into that, but really any chain could potentially be added as far as I'm aware. And that, again, just gives us a huge potential in market share. And again, it's something that we really haven't seen before in crypto. And, once the word gets out on this and people actually see it working, and again, not to drop too much alpha, but the test net, of L1X is up and running and functioning flawlessly. So this is not vaporware, this is something that has actually been done, and so again, the opportunities are limitless, and having crypto veterans like Jake and I, and our respective communities, without having any limitations. And again, I don't want this to sound too corny or like a Hallmark movie, but without any limitations, the possibilities are endless, and we really feel like we can, deliver on things we haven't even, really thought about yet, in terms of what this interoperability will do for crypto overall. So yeah, hopefully that was again where my head is at, and why I know I sound maybe a little too excited, but again, this is like game changing. So yeah, go ahead, Chase. I don't know. Again, I think we're on the same page, bro.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, if anything, I said I'll just reiterate. The centralized finance is way light years ahead in terms of overall market cap than DeFi is. But there's a shift coming, right? Like you want to be ahead of the major market movement, right? Obviously we've all seen what happens when centralized authority gets too much power, right? There's crypto's not going away. People want more of this, but there's massive problems with centralized finance in crypto. And there's this enormous learning curve, right? Like, I have a staunch trading background, and it took me like at least a year to like really kind of grasp what was going on, and I must have sent out at least $10,000 into just the universe, into the ether. You know what I mean? Not knowing what chains were which, and just making bonehead mistakes. So that's where I see it. I just see this massive opportunity to be able to bridge the gap between centralized finance and decentralized finance. And the L1X tech, it really kind of puts the two together. AJ mentioned that we've actually been working on a swap for a while now, and to be honest, I was going to fake it with like Paraswap and some bridging services, right? 1inch, those kinds of things. But this actually gives us the ability to truly create this decentralized exchange where the tokens can flow between all the chains without the risk of bridging and additional expenses of moving those tokens around.
Totally. And one more thing too, I just want to say, you reminded me, Jake. I think everybody's used to the AMM setup. Again, we're used to what PancakeSwap looks like and Uniswap and 1inch. Well, again, this is not a copy and paste DEX either. Just like, L1X is not a copy and paste chain. We're bringing that innovation in literally everything we're going to do. And, once people see how this comes to life, again, I think that's when people will go, wow, this really is something new and innovative and different, and solves a ton of issues that we see in crypto overall now. And Jake, you made a really good point the other day, with FTX. I mean, what made FTX so popular was how simple it was to use, and obviously that was a nightmare because it was a centralized exchange that not your keys, not your crypto. But we feel like we can bring everything FTX had to offer in a decentralized way, and that's again 1/10 of all the things we will offer in the DEX, and that is just massive. So again, to Jake's point, that brings on the normies as well. Centralized finance. We can absolutely go after them as an onboarding mechanism through our DEX. So yeah, I just want to make one last point.
Thanks, AJ. It's Chief here. Just wanted to add one little thing to the whole story. The L1X core capability is to actually unite all blockchains and unlock the full potential of each. By enabling dApps on Layer 1X, we're actually not competing with any blockchain. We're actually uniting them together. We're here to champion decentralized interoperability, and when that's achieved, all the blockchains and dApps will be able to scale and realize their full potential. With our DEX, the combined DEX here, we have the potential of becoming the largest DEX in the world. And there's a call.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And look, I think, thank you, Jake. Thank you, AJ, for explaining that. Maybe Kevin also might ask your input. How do you see potentially the DEX itself, impacting DeFi as a whole?
Yeah, I think if that's a good question. I mean, if you compare to other exchanges out there, you see that multi-chain DEXs have the least capital efficiency to it, less than 5%. But what I think is, the most important part of the DEX, of course, allowing the users simplicity and access to multi-chain pools or what may you, is the engineering layer. Because when a dApp is being built, usually the dApps are choosing the chains where it's the least expensive process for running the whole structure and the transaction. But then the problem is the liquidity is in Ethereum, or the chains where the transaction cost is expensive. So I think they are missing out on a lot of things over here where I may mint an NFT on Polygon and then try to sell it on OpenSea, because the market is in OpenSea, and they don't have a solution. So I think the DEX can play a good role in providing that access, to chains, or even get access of liquidity pools within it. For the Web3 space, it will definitely take a step further in terms of a refreshing outlook on a layer one and a DEX working together, which is we're not just fast and cheap, but we are fast, cheap, and we have strategies around capital efficiency and multi-chain capability.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin. We will open up to some questions. We've got the L1X stage there that if people would like to tap in any questions, we're more than happy to go ahead and answer those questions. And we'll keep an eye on the L1X stage. for those questions. But I just also wanted to tell everybody, and like I can see a few questions. How do you get involved in this DEX? Well, let me tell you something that's extremely bullish for the DEX and for the L1X token itself. I think Kevin mentioned at the beginning that obviously we had a few issues there with the beginning of the private sale. They've been corrected now. Team has gone back and actually simplified the process. Now also DEX and EMP, they are actually also helping raise money raise funds, and you can invest into the L1X private sale through DEX and EMP as well. And there's a specific channel on the Discord called DexFi, EMP DexFi, and it should be there. Maybe be great if you might be able to put the channel link up in the L1X stage. They're doing specific fund investment raise through them as well, where there is no KYC applicable. So I thought I'd mention that. But something that is really bullish is that we're working with EMP.money and Dex Finance on the tokenomics, and what we'll be doing. Our first aim will be to work on the tokenomics and work towards actually having L1X token as the DEX token. So it means that the opportunity that you're getting by getting into the private sale right now has just been boosted, because now you know that not only is the L1X token the token for the layer 1X, we're working on the tokenomics so that it will also be the driving token of the DEX, making the L1X token a massive utility token and driving huge value into the L1X token and for people that are holding that token. So now is the time. Yeah, now is the time. And as I think Jake and AJ both said that before, is that they'll be releasing as we get closer to launch in the coming weeks and months. They'll be releasing the white paper for the DEX, the tokenomics, the name. So be sure to keep an eye out for that particular for those particular announcements, and that's why we also have a specific channel in there as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And let me, if you don't mind, Matthew, let me just go over a little bit of that for sure, brother. So yeah, I mean, and again, Jake, we're cut from the same cloth, so he can definitely reiterate what I'm about to say. But we have been proponents from day one, not only in our own ecosystems, but in any DeFi project, about real revenue and real revenue streams. And so with this DEX, that's what we're going to bring to the table, because typically you see, a secondary token. Again, just for an example, PancakeSwap uses their a cake token to provide LP incentives, but that token over time becomes very inflationary, and so we're going to do everything we can to avoid, again, like Matthew said, using a secondary token and really make the DEX transact in L1X alone, and that gives all of you an opportunity to provide liquidity or stake and get a portion of the fees as real revenue. And so again, not only is this bullish, because there's absolutely zero, Ponzi-nomics or any, sleight of hand in terms of tokenomics, but it adds an immediate use case for L1X on top of being the gas token of the chain. So we really feel like this is an innovative step, not only in terms of, again, everything we mentioned for the last hour, but also an innovative step in how the tokenomics of a DEX operate. And so, because of all this, we've been given an amazing allocation of the pre-sale round raise. Again, we're raising on behalf of L1X. We're not part of the L1X team, but we are the official launch DEX now of L1X. And by doing this, Montreal also mentioned, getting around the KYC. So we're still compliant. Everybody that contributes through our pre-sale will be through the EMP Trust account, which is an entity that we have set up. It's all legally compliant. And so again, by us raising on behalf of L1X, that's how the user is able to get around KYC, but we're still, crossing our eyes, I'm sorry, dotting our I's and crossing our T's. So it's been a killer, again, opportunity from L1X for us that we are now extending onto all of you to continue to make this a reality. So yeah, go ahead, Jake. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, I think everyone here knows that we're all kind of on the same path together here, and of course, we are trying to do everything we can to get rid of the Ponzi-nomics and create value from something that's real. I'll tell you where my head's at is, like an SDK for every other chain and every other exchange that can just kind of plug us in, to further expand the revenue streams that we can bring back to liquidity providers, that kind of thing.
Totally.
So it's not just.
Will you elaborate on that real fast, Jake? Again, I know what is the SDK? I know some people may not know, but this is really bullish. So yeah, just give us a breakdown on that, because that could really accelerate our volume tremendously.
Yeah. So an SDK is basically just a kit. It's a developer's kit that allows even lower level developers use the technology that we're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars in man hours into. It allows just the average developer to plug and play with it, right? So we're going to take the time and build this exactly how we think it should be built. That benefits not only the DEX but also layer one, and then once we've perfected it, there's no real sense for another team to go and spend all that energy to do it when they could just kind of take a little piece of code that we have, and which would give them access to everything that we've already built, right? So that's kind of the idea. It's just rapid expansion, and it allows for the tech to be in a lot more hands a lot more quickly.
100%.
Excellent, guys. Thank you. Bullish. It sounds amazing. And I think, like AJ might have mentioned this before, and maybe Jake too, is that it's one of those things that once you start to go down the rabbit hole and start to build out the DEX, all the other opportunities and solutions come forward that potentially you may have not even seen from the beginning. But I think from what Jake and AJ have mentioned today about what this DEX can do, what Jake mentioned about bringing the benefits of centralized exchanges into a decentralized system, I think is a pretty extraordinary. The user experience, adding the enhancing the user experience on the DEX and the functions that the DEX can do, I think is also just all positive things for adoption. DeFi adoption and adoption of the DEX from not just people that are already in crypto, but from organizations and individuals outside of crypto as well. And that's really what Layer 1X is about. We're built for mass adoption and mass use case. So if the features underpinning Layer 1X in terms of the decentralization, the interoperability, security, and scalability, if they can then champion the goals of someone like an EMP Money and a Dex Finance to build something that the world has never seen, but with the user in mind, then we are all for that, and we will get behind these guys, and we have got behind these guys with full support to make that a reality. Let's jump into some questions that we've got here. I've just got a couple popping up. Let's have a look. We've got one here that there's one asking about the other partnerships on the table. Look, we're going to drip feed the alpha to you. Today is all about the DEX and this amazing, but we will we don't want to overload your plate but we will continue to drop alpha on future projects. Got another question here. Can you speak to the benefits of the L1X for micro transactions? Yeah, look, absolutely. When you're transacting through Layer 1X on the Layer 1X chain, its consensus mechanism has a base transaction fee of no more than 1 cent. So when you look at retail opportunities at the moment,
if the transaction fee is only 1 cent, or the base transaction fee is only 1 cent, then it opens up the world of being able to accept crypto. It opens that opportunity up to so many merchants that were hesitant to adopt it because it wasn't financially viable for them or the user. What I mean by that is if you're paying $10 or $20 on Ethereum for a transaction, there's only a few things that you'd be willing to buy if the transaction fee is going to be that much. You're not going to be you wouldn't want to put $10 in your petrol tank for if it's going to cost you $20 for the transaction fee. That said, even looking at Binance Chain, where potentially you're paying 15 to 20 cents on a transaction fee, are you going to really want to buy an envelope for 15 cents when it's going to cost you 20 cents for the transaction fee? So what this does in terms of the lower fees of 1 cent, it opens up a huge world of merchants and retailers coming onto the chain, and then it also gives additional users liquidity to the DEX to be able to then use that capital in ways that different ways that will or functions that will be built on top of the DEX to make that capital highly efficient as well. So really, it's really working in tandem. And look, there's going to be a close synergy between L1X and the DEX team, because as we continue to build out chains, we may be driven by the user demand on other chains, and that information may come from the DEX team to say, look, we're seeing huge demand for from this particular chain, and we feel that by integrating that chain now, making that the next one that we interoperate with and we build in could be a big benefit to not only L1X but the DEX. Then that kind of communication will be going back and forth between us and the DEX team, and really working in conjunction to improve both of those, not only just the L1X but also the DEX as well, because it's so pivotal to the DeFi sector of the chain of L1X.
Totally. And real fast, Matthew, just to elaborate one more little thing on that. So it is pivotal that a chain has a preferred launch DEX, because without the ability to actually buy the gas token and transact and have something functioning, that could potentially impact the chain itself. And so that's why this partnership is just so bullish, and working, to your point, working hand in hand with you guys. I mean, we can really accomplish all that. So and again, just to make a quick comparison, you can see how integrated, Uniswap is with ETH. You can see how integrated PancakeSwap is with BNB chain on a foundational level. And with our DEX, we will be that tight, if not even tighter, in terms of working together to deliver on all of these integrations. And so, you guys are busy, and Kevin can attest to this. You're busy building the chain. You don't want to have to worry about, running a DEX on top of it all. But by all of us working together, and having our own, specialties, and being able to work efficiently together, which we've already proven in some other cases, I mean, it really is a win-win. So absolutely, brother.
If I could jump in here too quick, I have just a little follow-up on the microtransactions. One of the things that's super exciting to me, and honestly why I approached you guys about this in the first place, not even for a DEX, but for our vaults, right? I have a real world experience and problem with this right now, that we're really pushing the boundaries of literally what is considered acceptable on the blockchains. Literally our contracts are pushing the size limits, so we're having to break them down more and more, right? But it's specifically as far as the transaction fees. We built this really great product, and we're saving people, or we're earning investors on average 6-7%, up to 20% on some more volatile assets than on all of our competitors. But there is a slight barrier to entry on some chains, because, for example, if you get into a vault on Smart Chain, right, because each single transaction, within each transaction, there could be 60 or 70 transactions within it to swap to the native tokens and create the LPs and then deposit the LPs and approvals and all that, right? A vault on BNB might cost $5, right? Which is a little higher than the average investor might want to spend, right? On something like Phantom, which has, much cheaper gas, it's maybe 11 cents or 10 cents, right? But it has its own challenges too, the very high fluctuations in the gas prices. But so being able to, cap all transactions essentially on every chain, just allows us to do so much more, pack in so much more in those contracts that, we literally are physically unable to do with the current model.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just to add on to that, if you don't mind, I think one of the misconception, is as the blockchain grows, the transaction fees, will go higher, and I think that's okay to understand because, that's what we have seen. But the way we solve that problem is many of these chains out there, they're using the EVM architecture of executing the source code and then interacting with the database to store it, and they of course have a way of tweaking that around. But what we have done is EVM has a lot of redundancy into it when it's compiling the code, but our VM, we have learned from it. So I've been going line by line on all these codes. We have learned from it, and the way we have compiled our code and stored it in the database, even if the database keeps growing in the future, we will always maintain an upper limit, for a transaction for a standard, size. So for example, a smart contract on EVM cannot be more than, 400 KB. Where your gas fees can be extremely high for something like that. But in our case, our maximum upper limit for a smart contract is 1 MB, but the size, you would be paying 1 cent. If it's lower than that, you would be paying less than 1 cent. So that was the idea of making sure that the transaction fees always remains the same, because this opens up avenues where you can start integrating the transaction structure in so many areas where you would not. And this effectively increases the transaction on the L1X ecosystem as well, giving value to the L1X coin.
Yeah, well, look, well said, Kevin. And look, just to give you guys everyone listening, a bit of insight into how diligent he is in the research that he does before building, right? And in terms of the information he's has at hand in terms of researching what else is out there. This is just one example, is that Kevin has actually read every line of Ethereum's code, every single line. That's how diligent and how deep he goes into things before he builds, to look at all the options. And I think that's just one example of an insight into the kind of builder Kevin is and the kind of visionary he is as well. So thank you for that, Kevin. Kevin, I might keep you on because you might be able to answer this next one as well. We've got a question here. We've probably got time for a few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. But if I go down, here we go. The question is, there was mention of routing to other DEXs. So does that mean you'd be able to swap from coin A on chain 1 to coin B on chain 2 seamlessly? Can you answer that question? Maybe give us a little bit of detail behind that as well.
Yeah, sure. So when you think of the problem that over here, the person is asking is, how do I swap, and is it seamlessly done, on different chains? Now, if you think about it, if you want to swap between, let's say, Polygon and Solana, now these are two different systems in itself, right? And the consensus they follow, the VMs they follow are very different. Now, what we, do is the L1X wallet will be able to identify the user on both the systems. So if you, are a user on Solana, and if you want to transfer it to yourself or someone else, we will identify it. And you don't have to worry of using a bridge, that will bridge in between Polygon to EVM first, and then from that EVM to Solana, finding routes in between chains. One of the concept is we bridge directly, if you want to call it that way. But the most optimal way of saying something like that is we understand, the virtual machine of Solana and Polygon. And when you want to bridge it across, or if you want to send something across, we identify the user, we call that particular function and execute it. But where that function is in that life cycle, we also record that. So if something goes wrong, we know what's going on. And this all is done in a decentralized consensus manner. But not only tokens, you could run a logic where if a person holds NFT on chain A, go and do this on chain B, and if this happens on chain B, go and do this on chain C. So you would never be able to do that in the current tech space that we've got. But with L1X, you could do that seamlessly through a single wallet.
Brilliant, Kevin. Thank you for that. And maybe I'll just stay with you on this next question, Kevin. I've got a question here. What are the current bumps in the road, if any, in terms of development and roadmap, or how is the testing going so far, and maybe specifically to the functions that will help power the DEX?
I mean, from the DEX perspective, everything is going smoothly. We are integrating with Solana in the next 2 weeks maximum, and it's working. I think if you ask from the complexity of L1X, the most complex piece to build was a decentralized virtual machine register that understands the source and the destination chain's execution strategy. Meaning, if I'm executing 5 lines of code each on source A and source B, how do you register that on your decentralized VM in a continuous basis? Because in a DEX, the hardest thing to do is I will run a smart contract on Ethereum. I have to wait for the output before I go on chain B and execute something. But there will be sometimes certain logic where your smart contract on Ethereum has to run 5 lines or 2 lines of code before it goes and interacts with chain B and has to come back. This is the hardest thing to do, and this is what we are currently working on and testing intensively. But from the DEX perspective, we've got the tech already working, but it's of course in testing at this stage.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. This last question here, we might come to you, AJ and Jake. The question is from Need Beef, is what model will this DEX follow? Balancer, Solidity, Trader, Joe style order book, concentrated liquidity, Uniswap v3. This may be something you guys are probably could still be finalizing, but is there any insights into that question?
Yeah, I'll throw to Jake on this one. I know, again, he's been really doing a deep dive into the code base. I mean, we're just to give a little insight, we're definitely, we see the potential in, concentrated liquidity providing the V3 model that we've been seeing. I mean, that is attractive. But I guess the short answer is all of the above. I mean, again, we're hoping to have it in a way that this is a one-stop shop in terms of, whatever a user wants to do, a user can do. So yeah, go ahead, Jake. This is more your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And we are still finalizing the specific game plan for this deck specifically. But like AJ mentioned, the answer is a part of all of them, right? It doesn't, you don't necessarily have to have one particular model, right? The concentrated liquidity is great for stable pairs. So that could be implemented there. Balancer model is really good. We're already doing that with the ETFs essentially. So there could be some areas where we could use some of that tech. I'll tell you for some of the key features I mentioned previously, some of the MEV bot protection kind of stuff, the Uni V3 stuff is more appropriate in those cases. So it's a little bit of a hybrid of all of them. And as AJ mentioned, some of the new V33 stuff is really interesting, we'll say, which we could potentially shift to that model once we have enough participation, right? We wouldn't use that model if there's only a handful, but something we could always migrate to. So I think the general answer is a little mix of all of them. Any of you guys that know how we build, we never fork one thing. You find the best pieces out there and you create something new that utilizes the best of what's there, and then we add to it to create that special sauce.
Awesome. I think that's great, guys. I think what I don't want to take up too much time for everybody, but if there are further questions, as I mentioned before, we've got the unique channels already set up for the Dex, and the guys will be more than happy to answer more questions in there. But I just want to say a huge thank you to Kevin, AJ, and Jake for all being on this. We're really excited. We can't be more happy that that EMP and Dex Finance have collaborated to join, L1X to build this Dex, and what are two amazing teams joining together. As I said before, it's bullish. There's so many features, and then more and more will come out as we progress to launch it. We'll be launching in conjunction, so it'll be in operation when L1X launches. And as I mentioned before, we're working towards the tokenomics being that the L1X token will be also the Dex token. So we're working on that over the coming weeks as well. So it just makes it even more bullish to get involved right now in the L1X pre-sale. As AJ mentioned before, they are doing a raise there that does not require KYC. So you can, I think the link is in the L1X stage, or you can get the link off them in their own unique channel as well, which is in our Discord. So please jump on there to ask more questions. Once again, guys, thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, everyone else who is listening today. Exciting times for L1X and the Dex, and much more to come.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks for having us. And we're going to be doing a whole round of AMAs as well over the next 2 weeks. So if you guys didn't hear, or maybe it was a little overwhelming today, definitely join all of our socials, or like Machu said, in the L1X Discord, we have a specific channel about the Dex. And again, we're going to have a lot of exposure. Those of you that know me, I'm an expert at going on these AMAs. So we're going to get the word out to a lot of people. And again, Machu and Jake, maybe even Kevin, will be joining me on some of those. So, all right, awesome, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.